Hey, grace and peace, everybody. You saw the thumbnail, you saw the title. So, you know what we're about to do today. I'm going to talk about this. I'm just going to start calling them performative prayer activities, where you bring people together, you have a person claiming that they're praying, and it's more of a performance, more of a theater, more of acting than it is communicating with God on behalf of his people. And so, what I'm going to do, I know you all have seen this. I'm going to bring in the alleged bishop, and I'm not going to even call him this woman a bishop because she shouldn't actually be preaching in Christ Church anyway. So, I'm going to call this the live action role play person. And this live action role play person spoke at the commemorative prayer event prior to the inauguration. Let's go.
Tonight, a bishop takes on Trump and pleads with him face to face to, quote, have mercy. The Episcopal Bishop of Washington pleading with President Trump to show compassion towards undocumented immigrants and the LGBTQ community today. A dramatic moment coming during her sermon at today's National Prayer Service. I'm going to speak to the bishop in just a moment, but first, so everyone can understand exactly what happened, I want to play for you the moment and show you at the same time on the screen the president's reaction.
Let me make one final plea, Mr. President. Millions have put their trust in you. And as you told the nation yesterday, you have felt the providential hand of a loving God. In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now.
All right, Reverend Marianne Edgar Buddy, the Bishop at Washington National Cathedral, is now out front. And Bishop, I appreciate your time and your tone there, so serious and genuine. You see him, he's stone-faced, he then looks down, but he's listening to every word you say as you made that personal plea to him. What were you looking at him in that moment? What kind of response were you perhaps hoping for in that moment?
I was looking at the president because I was speaking directly to him. I was also, frankly, as you do in every sermon, speaking to everyone who was listening through that one-on-one conversation with the president, reminding us all that in the people that are frightened in our country, the two groups of people that I mentioned are our fellow human beings.
Okay, I'm gonna just jump in real quick because for the life of me, I don't know who these people are that are afraid. What is Trump going to do that you are afraid of? Down in the comments, let me know. Maybe I'm being obtuse. Maybe I'm not being sympathetic and understanding. What is he going to do that you are afraid of? And what did he do his first presidency? I would love to know. What did he do that made you afraid? Let me know down in the comments. Let's get this going.
And that they have been portrayed in all throughout the political campaign in the harshest of lights that I wanted to counter as gently as I could with a reminder of their humanity and their place in our wider community. And I was speaking to the president because I felt that he has this moment now where he feels charged and empowered to do what he feels called to do. And I wanted to say, there is room for mercy. There's room for a broader compassion. We don't need to portray with a broad cloth in the harshest of terms some of the most vulnerable people in our society.
How are they vulnerable? She just uses these terms that they don't land on anything. They're not rooted in reality. What are you talking about? This host is not going to ask her that question. So I'm just going to ask, what are you talking about? How is a man who's pretending that he's a woman vulnerable in this society? How am I, as a man of color, black man, highly melanated, how am I vulnerable in this society? Serious question. Because if you do that, can I ask you a question? Do you have that same smoke for the unborn child? Because I think they're infinitely more vulnerable than anybody that we could say is vulnerable today. I don't think any child that is unborn has any capacity to defend him or herself any more than any of these people that you say are vulnerable. So what do you have for them? Um, prayer LARP live action role play lady? What about them? Okay, let's keep this going. Let's get done.
Society, who are in fact our neighbors, our friends, our children, our friends' children, and so forth.
So you spoke. I like how you use the word gently, because it was gentle. I mean, it was intense and passionate, but yet it was gentle. It was not ugly or confrontational.
Mhm.
Wouldn't expect it to be, but these are hard things to talk about in that context. You spoke
Right.
obviously about undocumented migrants, also the LGBT community, the two communities you're talking about. I wanted to play a little bit more of what you said, and also again the president's reaction at that moment.
There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. The vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away.
What made you decide to say all that today?
Well, these are the people that I know. These are not abstract people for me. These are actual people that I know. So I wanted to speak on their behalf. I wanted to present a vision of what unity can look like in this country that is transcending of differences and viewpoints and acknowledging our common humanity.
Yes.
I wanted to speak in such a way that reflected that.
I hope she does realize that nothing that she said actually makes sense. That trend, we don't doubt that people are humans. What they're saying, this is just dumb. To say that a person can't come to this country without going through the proper steps is denying their humanity? Man, what are you talking about? See, this is the problem. Nobody's actually asking these people and pushing back. This woman right here is just making the yummy sounds, enjoying this tripe that she's talking about that doesn't actually land anywhere and is not willing to say, man, what are you talking about? How are you denying somebody's humanity by saying that the humans that are born here have rights before the people that come in illegally? Why is that a controversial thought?
That dignity and respect, but I also wanted to bring into that space the real humanity of the people that I was referencing.
Now he was asked about that because obviously there were cameras in there. People saw that interaction and they saw it. He was asked about your service afterward, and here's what he said.
Not too exciting, was it? I didn't think it was a good service. No, they could do much better.
I agree.
From him, honestly, Bishop, it's tame. He could have said much. He could have been much stronger than that.
Oh,
But
yeah.
obviously,
It was terrible. It has no place in your conversation. But ma'am, you had no business up there even speaking. I digress there. We can have that conversation all day long. She had no business being up there. So him saying that the sermon was bad, I don't think that's a lap too far. Let's go.
he made he made his feelings known in that context. But we know, right? He'll say what he thinks, and he could have said much more. What's your response to him in that?
Nobody cares.
Well, I agree with you. It was a very muted response. I wasn't expecting. I keep my expectations low whenever I preach, Aaron. I can't always measure impact by body language or even what people say afterwards. And so I have to let all of that go. I speak from what I believe I've been given to say and let it go from there. But it was a respectful response. He didn't like it. He said so. He said we could do better. Some of the other comments I've received haven't been as kind or has been as muted, shall we say. And one of the things I was trying to get across is that we can actually have these conversations in a respectful way.
Yeah. Well, I can only imagine. But thank you so much for taking the time to talk about it and to be so thoughtful about it. Thank you so much, Bishop.
I'm going to go again and say that this was just performative role playing. This is just some kind of get up there, and this is basically a stump speech, a stump sermon, if you want to say that. There's no place, no purpose, whatever of that nature. And I think ultimately, I think people know that. People realize that this has no place. And Trump's response to it is right on the money because it was like you're coming to why can't they come and hear what thus saith the Lord? Not political speaking and talking points, but why not hear what thus saith the Lord? But we couldn't hear that from this person anyway. I guarantee this woman couldn't preach the gospel. She couldn't preach her way out of a wet paper bag. Okay, she couldn't. But why not give them what thus saith the Lord? What way beyond all this political malaise that we're dealing with right now? Why not bring it up and make much of Christ? Why not talk about the fact that all of us are sinners? I mean, there were a ton of sinners sitting in there, tons of people who don't know Christ. But instead of introducing them to Christ and letting them know that their sins can be forgiven in Christ, rather than that, you talk about this dumb stuff that ultimately has no place and will not matter when the smoke clears. That's the thing I don't think people are conceptualizing. So yeah, Trump said it was a bad sermon. I wish he had said it was a bad sermon because it didn't bring up Christ. I think that would have been killer. But even more than that, above all of that, this was a waste of his time. And it's just performative role playing that just garners a little bit of attention. She's getting shine, and that's all it is. So let me know what you think down below. I really appreciate you all rocking with me. Let me know your comments. Do you agree with me, disagree? However you roll, I just want to hear about it. So if you don't mind, hit the comment down below. Thank you so much for helping me hit my goal of 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year. I appreciate y'all. And until next time, grace and peace. Take care.
Hit that like for deal with Christian. Yo, for deal with Christian. Smash that bell for DWC. Yo, smash it. Just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian. For deal with Christian. Smash that bell for DWC. Yo, smash it. Just smash it. Hit that like for deal with Christian.